A two-tailed z-hypothesis test for a proportion. At NKU, 57.7% of all students are female. I would like to determine if the proportion of females taking Stat 205 is different than the overall student body value. A random sample of 96 students taking Stat 205 was selected, and 66 of those students were female. Using a 10% level of significance, is the gender representation different in Stat 205 than the overall student body? The parameter P represents the proportion of all Stat 205 students who are female. In writing the null hypothesis, P equals 0.577. The alternative hypothesis, P is different than or is not equal to 0.577. The next step is to locate the level of significance and set the decision rule. So alpha is the 10% given in the exercise, so that is 0.10. So the decision rule is as follows. If the p-value is less than or equal to 0.10, then the decision will be to reject H sub 0. The test statistic is that Z is the sample proportion p hat minus the value of the population proportion if the null hypothesis is true. The denominator is the square root of p times 1 minus p divided by n. For our sample, 66 divided by 96 is the decimal value 0.6875 minus the 0.577 from H sub 0. The denominator is the square root of 0.577 times 1 minus that value, or 0.423, divided by the sample size of 96. When you calculate that out, you get 0.1105 for the numerator and 0.050422 for the denominator. That fraction can be calculated out to give you the z-score of 2.19. Next is the probability. In this case, because the alternative hypothesis has not equal to or is different than, this is a two-tailed test. So we need the probability of z-score is less than negative 2.19 plus the probability of z-score is more than positive 2.19. So the probability of z-score is less than negative 2.19 is the red area in the left graph, which is 0.0143, and the red area in the right graph is the probability of z-score is greater than positive 2.19, and that is also 0.0143. So adding those together, the total area in red in the two curves, or the probability, is 0.0286. Is this p-value less than 0.10? Why, yes it is. 0.0286 is less than 0.10, so the decision is made to reject the null hypothesis. In summary, using a 10% level of significance, there is sufficient evidence to conclude the proportion of all students taking Stat 205 who are female is different than 0.577. Further, Since the z-score is positive, it can be concluded the true proportion of all students taking Stat 205 who are female is actually more than 0.577. Finally, is this valid? A random sample was taken and the collected data is categorical. Was the student female or not? NP is 96 times 0.577, which equals 55.392. So that number of expected successes needs to be 10 or larger, and it is. N times 1 minus P is 96 times 0.423. That equals 40.608 failures expected. That also meets the at least 10 requirement. So the one sample z-test for a proportion is appropriate.